Right then, you're settled. Good. Pull that blanket up a bit. There you go. That's better. Now, are you comfortable? Good. Close your eyes. You don't need to keep them open for this. This isn't the kind of story that needs watching. It's the kind of story that's just for listening to, in the dark, when you're warm and there's nowhere you need to be. I'm just going to sit here and tell you some things about cats. Nothing important, mind you. Nothing you'll need to remember. Just things. Quiet little things I've picked up over the years about cats and their ways. Because there is nothing in the world, I think, more soothing to talk about at bedtime than cats. Cats know something about rest that the rest of us are still trying to learn. And by the time I've told you all 88 of these little facts, well, I'd be very surprised if you were still awake to hear the last one. That's the idea, anyway. So, are you ready? Good. Let's begin. You know, the first thing you ought to know about cats is that they spend most of their lives sleeping. Most of their lives. A cat, on a perfectly ordinary day, will sleep away the bulk of it without any guilt about that whatsoever. And I think there is something to be learned from that. I really do. They don't lie there worrying about what they ought to be doing instead. They don't make little mental lists. They just sleep. Fully and completely and without apology. I've always admired that about cats. The complete lack of apology. Now, cats always choose the warmest spot in any room. Always. You could arrange a whole room full of different surfaces and a cat would find the warmest one inside of about 30 seconds and be asleep on it within a minute. They have a gift for that. I had a cat once, years and years ago now, a big gray fellow named Arthur, and Arthur would follow the patch of sunlight around the sitting room floor all afternoon. You'd come in at 2 o'clock and he'd be in the middle of the room, and by 4 he'd have shifted over to the window, and by 5 he'd be on the armchair because that's where the last of the light fell. He followed that warmth like it was the most important job in the world. Maybe it was. Maybe he knew something. Cats have been living alongside people for a very, very long time, you know. It started in the places where people first began storing grain, the great ancient civilizations, and small animals would come to eat the grain, and cats would come to find the small animals. And the people looked at the cats and thought, well, this suits us quite nicely. And the cats looked at the warm, sheltered space the people had made and thought the same. Nobody planned it. Nobody sat down and decided. It was simply two creatures finding each other useful and comfortable, and choosing, in that quiet way, to stay in the same place. That is still more or less what happens when a cat decides to live with you today, if you think about it. A cat's purr is one of the most pleasant sounds there is, I think. It's produced by the muscles in the throat moving very quickly so that the breath vibrates both coming in and going out. So it's a continuous sound, never stopping for the breath the way a voice does. Just a steady, gentle, unbroken hum. Some people say that the frequency of a cat's purr is calming to the human nervous system. That it is literally, physically good for you to be near a purring cat. I don't know if that has been definitively proved, but I will say that in all my years I have never felt worse after sitting with a purring cat than I did before. Not once. That seems like evidence enough to me. When a cat is very sleepy, you can see a third eyelid. A soft, pale membrane that slides gently across from the inside corner of the eye. You don't see it when the cat is alert or busy. It only appears when the cat is at complete ease. When the cat has decided there is nothing in the room requiring a full and watchful eye. I always thought that was rather fine. The body having a special eyelid just for the moments of deepest rest. The eye saying, in its quiet way, all is well. There is nothing here that needs watching fully. Can you feel that? That settling? That's what we're after tonight. Now, whiskers. A cat's whiskers are not decorative, you know, though they are certainly very handsome. They're working instruments. Each one connected to nerve endings so sensitive that even the faintest movement of air against them carries information. A whisker can tell a cat whether a gap is wide enough to pass through, whether something is nearby in the dark, whether the air is moving in a particular direction. When a cat is relaxed, the whiskers sit loosely out to the sides, not pointed forward, which means the cat is paying close attention to something. Not pulled back, which means the cat is uneasy. Just out to the sides, soft and still, resting while still doing their gentle work. I rather like that. Resting while still doing their gentle work. That seems right for tonight, doesn't it? Cats eat what their bodies were made to eat. They don't question it. They don't wonder whether they ought to be eating something else. They eat, and then they groom themselves very efficiently, and then they sleep. The whole sequence is very tidy, very sensible. When I was young, I had an uncle who kept 3 cats, and he used to say that cats had solved the problem of daily life in a way that people never quite manage. Eat, clean, sleep, eat, clean, sleep. He said it with some admiration. My uncle was a very practical man. A cat is not a very large animal, really. Not the biggest thing in any room. And yet a cat has a presence in a room that is quite disproportionate to its size. Something about the particular way it moves and settles and arranges itself makes it seem entirely intentional, as though the cat could not possibly be anywhere other than exactly where it is. I have never seen a cat look lost. I'm not sure a cat is capable of looking lost. It is always, wherever it happens to be, exactly where it meant to be. Do you know that cats don't really meow at each other? Grown cats, I mean. The meow is something cats develop for talking to people. Over thousands of years of living alongside us, they learned that a particular kind of sound gets a response from humans. And so they kept making it. They shaped it over generations and generations, specifically for us. I find that quite something, actually. That the cat, in its own quiet way, learned enough of our language to get its point across about the food bowl. Every single cat in the world has a nose print that belongs only to it. Like a fingerprint, only on the nose. The fine ridges and patterns on the surface of a cat's nose are its own and nobody else's, from the day it's born to the end of its days. I don't think cats know this about themselves. I don't think it would interest them if they did. They have rather more pressing things to think about, like whether the sunny spot has moved and whether it's nearly dinner time. But I find it rather wonderful. All those cats in the world, and every single nose completely, quietly unique. Still with me, are you? Good. You don't have to be, you know. If you're already drifting, that's perfectly all right. Just let the words carry on. They'll be here whether you're listening closely or not. Just like rain on the window. Just like someone moving quietly in the next room. There's no need to follow. Just rest. Cats sleep in the most wonderful positions. Completely curled into themselves sometimes, tail wrapped around, nose tucked in, making a perfect round shape. And other times completely stretched out, all four legs extended, taking up as much space as they possibly can on the sofa. And then there's the one where they sleep with a paw draped over their nose. I don't know why that particular position is so affecting, but it is. Something about a cat with a little paw over its own nose just stops you cold for a moment. In a very peaceful way. A cat has a spine that is extraordinarily flexible. More sections in it than ours, and connected differently, which is part of how cats can make those extraordinary arching and stretching shapes. And it's also why, if a cat falls, the body can rotate in the air to arrive on its feet. The body just knows what to do. Faster than any thought. I've always found that quietly reassuring. The idea of a body that knows what to do before the mind has had a chance to get involved. Now this one I like. When a cat looks at you and blinks very slowly, that is a cat saying something kind to you. It means, I trust you. I am not on guard with you. You are safe as far as I'm concerned. And if you blink back slowly, the cat will usually blink at you again. You can have quite a long, slow conversation this way, in blinks, without either of you making a sound. I used to do this with a tabby cat that lived next door for many years. We had good conversations. Very slow ones. But good. A cat's soft pads at the end of each paw tuck away when they're not needed. Folded safely inside, kept ready. And when a cat needs, pressing its paws slowly into something soft, those pads extend and retract in a gentle rhythm. Cats do this when they're happy. When they're feeling that deep, warm, settled kind of contentment. It starts when they're very young, pressing against their mother in just that way. And they carry it forward into all their years, that gentle pressing motion. As though somewhere in the rhythm of it they remember being small and warm and entirely looked after. A cat's heart beats faster than ours does. Quick and steady and quiet, going about its business. When the cat is deep asleep, it slows toward the lower end of its range. Always moving, always doing its work, without any fuss or drama. I sometimes think about the hearts of sleeping cats when I can't sleep myself. All those small, steady, quiet heartbeats going on through the night. It's rather comforting, in its way. Cats are built for the soft light of dawn and dusk. Their eyes gather light very efficiently. There's a layer at the back of the eye that reflects light back through, giving it a second chance to be useful. That's why a cat's eyes shine when a light catches them in the dark. All that reflected light coming back out. In the dark, a cat sees what we cannot. Shapes and movements in what seems to us like complete blackness. Moving through the night as easily as we move through the day. Entirely comfortable in the dark. Entirely at home in it. In ancient Egypt, a very long time ago, cats were considered sacred. They were associated with a gentle goddess of the home. They were kept in temples and treated with great care. Cats were also genuinely useful in those places, keeping the grain stores safe. So there was a practical admiration alongside the spiritual one. I think the cats probably didn't mind either way. They received warmth and food and regular admiration, which is more or less all a cat has ever asked for. A cat's sense of smell is considerably more developed than ours. They have much more capacity for it. And they have an extra organ in the roof of the mouth that can analyze particular scents in even more detail. When you see a cat with its mouth slightly open, holding an expression of deep concentration, that's what's happening. A kind of thorough and very focused noticing. The world, to a cat's nose, must be extraordinarily detailed. Every surface telling a story. Every current of air carrying news from wherever it has been. Walking into a room must be like reading a whole chapter just from the smell of it. Cats spend a great deal of time grooming, keeping the coat in order, attending to every part of themselves with a steady and unhurried thoroughness. And it's calming, too, the grooming. Something about the repetitive, rhythmic motion settles them. If something has briefly startled a cat, it will often groom itself afterward, coming back to the steady baseline through the familiar sequence. I find that useful to know. The idea that returning to a simple, familiar rhythm can bring you back to yourself. Back to calm. Back to the steady place where everything is all right. A cat that has lived many years knows its home in extraordinary detail. Which chair gets the afternoon light? Who comes home at what time? Where the warmth moves to, as the seasons change. All of this built up slowly over years of quiet and patient observation. An old cat in a house it has lived in for many years is a very settled creature. It has learned everything it needs to know about its world. Nothing surprises it anymore. Everything is familiar. Everything is known. And in that knowing, there is a very deep kind of peace. You're doing very well, you know. Just lying there. Just listening. That's all there is to do. Nothing to figure out. Nothing to hold on to. The story just keeps going, soft and slow, and all you have to do is be here in the warmth and let it wash over you. I'll keep talking. You just rest. A cat's tale is really quite eloquent if you know how to read it. Held high when the cat is coming towards you happily. Tucked away when something has made it uneasy. Lying completely still when the cat is so deeply comfortable it has forgotten the tale is there at all. The tale is a whole separate conversation happening below the level of the meowing and the purring. A quiet, continuous commentary on the interior life of the cat. Cats have a very good sense of direction. They can find their way home across distances that would leave most other creatures completely bewildered. Nobody is entirely sure how. Perhaps something in the inner ear. Perhaps sensitivity to something in the earth itself. Perhaps just a very long memory for the smell of home. Whatever it is, the cat carries it. That quiet, reliable knowledge of where home is. Always there. Always pointing the right way. Did you know a group of cats has a name? A clouder. A clouder of cats. And a group of kittens is called a kindle. Isn't that a fine word? A kindle of kittens. All those small warm things together in one place. I used to know a fellow who had quite a large clouder. 7 or 8 cats, all living together in a rambling old farmhouse. Every room had at least one cat in it. He said the house was never cold and never quiet and never lonely. I believed him entirely. When a cat needs that slow pressing of one paw and then the other into something soft, it's doing something it learned in its very earliest days. Pressing like that, alternating, rhythmically. It goes back to being a small kitten, warm and fed and pressed close to its mother. Cats carry that memory forward in their bodies without knowing it. In the rhythm of the kneading, in the way they close their eyes and their expression goes soft and unfocused. Somewhere in that motion, they find something from the very beginning of their lives. Warmth. Everything provided for. A cat's tongue is remarkable. Covered in tiny structures that face backward, very useful for grooming, combing through the fur with each stroke. And when a cat drinks, the tongue forms a tiny column of water and the cat catches it. Very quick. Very precise. Each lap exactly the same as the last. I've always thought it was rather elegant, the way cats drink. Very deliberate. Very clean. No splashing. No fuss. A cat jumping looks effortless. They make it look like floating. Landing without a sound on whatever surface they aimed for, then simply being there, as though they had always been there and the jumping had been someone else's business entirely. It's that quiet confidence again. The cat never looks as though it considered the possibility of not making it. The possibility just doesn't seem to enter into things. Cats are not creatures built for living in groups the way some other animals are. They move through the world in their own quiet way. Their instincts for solitary stillness are deep and old. And yet they stay. They choose particular people. They form attachments that are genuine and lasting and quite deep in their quiet, undemonstrative way. The creature that moves through the world alone and chooses to be with you anyway. There is something rather fine about that when you think about it. When a cat is very deeply relaxed, truly deeply relaxed, you can feel the difference when you pick it up. The muscles are completely soft. The weight settles into your arms differently. The whole cat becomes somewhat liquid. All of it given over entirely to rest. Complete surrender to the comfort of the moment. No part of the cat holding anything back. All of it simply, here. I want to tell you something about cats being near people who are unwell, because I've seen this myself and I find it genuinely remarkable. Cats will sometimes spend extended time near someone who is struggling. Not their usual amount of time. More. Press close in a way they don't normally press. Sitting quietly. Staying. My mother was ill once, for several weeks, and our old cat Mabel, who was not a particularly affectionate cat by temperament, spent the entirety of those weeks on my mother's bed. Got up when my mother got up. Lay down when my mother lay down. as if she had appointed herself to the task and intended to see it through. I don't know what Mabel knew or felt, but I know what she did. And I know what it meant to my mother to have her there. Very early in European history, cats came with traders and travelers from the East, moving along the routes that connected the ancient world. They spread slowly, following the paths that people took, arriving in new places and settling into them. They moved through history quietly, never making much of a fuss, simply present in it, in the margins of the records, sitting in the corners of old paintings, on the laps of people in portraits who look as though they have quite forgotten the cat is there, but would notice immediately if it got up. You know, when I was young, my grandfather used to tell me things just like this. Not about cats necessarily. About all sorts of things. Small, quiet things. Things that didn't matter very much. And I used to lie there exactly the way you're lying now and just let the sound of his voice go over me like warm water. I don't remember most of what he told me, but I remember the feeling, the warmth of it, the safety of it, knowing he was there, sitting quietly, and there was nothing in the world I needed to do except lie still. That's all you need to do right now. Just lie still. Each of a cat's ears moves entirely on its own. More than 20 little muscles in each ear, allowing them to turn toward a sound without the cat needing to move its head at all. One ear forward and one ear back. Both ears forward. A constant, subtle adjustment to the world of sound. When a cat is completely relaxed, both ears settle loosely upright, turn neither here nor there. Just resting in their natural position. Taking in whatever the room offers without any particular urgency about it. Cats have scent glands in several places on their body, and when a cat rubs its face against you, it's leaving a small, invisible mark, including you in all of its favorite corners of the world, saying, in its private language, "You belong here. You are part of my world." I've always found that rather fine. Being headbutted by a cat is actually the cat saying, quietly and without any drama, "You are mine. And I am yours." In whatever small, unhurried way a cat can manage. A cat's paws are wonderfully soft. The pads are thick and slightly giving, and warm. The paw of a cat placed in your hand is one of those small physical experiences that turns out to be unexpectedly good. Soft. Warm. Very trusting. Very still. Cats sometimes bring things to the people they care about. Small offerings from their day. I know that people don't always appreciate this, and I understand why. But the cat is doing the most generous thing it knows how to do. It is sharing what it has. The cat that brings you something has decided you are worth the gift. That is not nothing. Cats can hear things we can't, far above the range of human hearing. In a quiet room, a cat sitting perfectly still may be hearing things moving about that are entirely invisible and inaudible to us. I sometimes think about that when I'm lying in the dark and the house seems completely quiet. That the cat at the end of the bed is hearing a richer, more detailed version of the night than I am. Receiving all sorts of quiet information about the world, and finding it completely unremarkable. Cats come in all different colors and coats. Some long and flowing, some short and smooth, some with coats that feel like velvet, some with quite extravagant ear tufts. But underneath all that variety, the domestic cat is still the same creature that walked into human settlements a very long time ago and quietly decided to stay. Cats like to be in high places. The top of a wardrobe, a high shelf, somewhere with a clear view below. Something in them still knows that up is safe. Up is good. You can see the whole of your world laid out below you, and nothing can come at you from above. Indoors or outdoors, young or old, every cat still carries that instinct. Still makes for the highest available point if one presents itself. Just in case. Just to be certain. Just to have the broad, clear, peaceful view. A cat in your bed at night is warmer than a blanket. A blanket just holds your own warmth around you. The cat generates its own heat, entirely independent of yours, and brings it and lies it alongside you, available to you, just there. I lived alone for many years, and I had a cat during those years, a small gray and white cat called Minnow. And on cold nights, the warmth of Minnow against my feet was one of those simple, specific, deeply reliable comforts that I am still grateful for when I think about it. A small warm weight. Breathing slowly. Entirely at ease. Some cats attach themselves very particularly to one person. Follow that person from room to room. Wait outside closed doors. Sleep only in the spot nearest to where that person is. I had a cat like that once. A very determined little ginger cat who had decided I was his person and conducted himself accordingly for 15 years. I never quite got over losing him, to tell you the truth. But that's all right. Some things are worth not quite getting over. When a cat dreams, the body moves in small, gentle ways. The paws flex. The whiskers quiver. The eyelids flutter slightly. The tail taps once on the surface it rests against. I used to watch my cats dream and wonder what they were seeing. Whatever it is they dream of, they look peaceful doing it. That's the main thing. They look completely, entirely peaceful. We're about halfway through, you and I, halfway through all our 88 little cat facts. Are you still awake? It doesn't matter. You don't have to be. Now, where was I? Oh yes. My mind wanders just like a cat, I suppose. Off to one corner and then another, following whatever bit of warmth it can find. That's all right. We'll just keep going, nice and slow. You just breathe. I'll find my way. Cats have an extraordinary sense of balance. Something in the inner ear that is remarkably sensitive to position and movement. This is part of why cats almost never stumble. They move with a quiet, unhurried certainty about where every part of their body is at every moment. I used to watch my cats walk along the tops of garden walls, and my heart would be in my mouth and they would be completely unconcerned. Perfectly steady. Strolling along as though it were a hallway. There are many kinds of domestic cat in the world. Cats with long, flowing coats and cats with almost no coat at all. Cats so large they seem a different category of animal, and cats so small they look like kittens all their lives. Every variety imaginable. And every single one of them spends a great deal of its day asleep in some warm place. The variety is tremendous. The fundamentals remain the same. The Maine Coon is one of the larger domestic breeds. A very big, very fluffy, very calm cat. They have tufted ears and large, padded paws. They are known for being gentle and patient and not easily bothered by anything much. There is something particularly restful about a large, calm animal. The size of them somehow adds to the calmness. A very large cat being very relaxed is a deeply settling thing to be near. The Scottish fold has ears that fold forward and downward, giving it the most perfectly round, oldish little face. They tend to sit in positions that no other cat would naturally think of. Flat on their back. Upright with all four legs stretched out in front. Arrangements that look as though someone posed them there and then left. They regard the world with enormous round eyes and an expression of total equanimity. Nothing, the Scottish fold seems to say, is worth getting particularly worked up about. And you know, I think they're probably right. The Siamese is one of the oldest known breeds, pale-bodied with darker coloring on the face and paws and tail. The darker color appears in the cooler places on the body. The cat is essentially a quiet map of its own warmth. Siamese cats are known for being vocal and opinionated. They will tell you exactly how they feel about the current situation. Very directly. There is something almost refreshing about an animal that simply says what it means. The ragdoll breed goes completely soft when picked up. All the muscles release. The whole cat becomes heavy and entirely cooperative in your arms. They earn their name honestly. Ragdolls are extraordinarily calm. Slow to startle. Patient. They will follow you around the house with a steady, unhurried affection, asking for nothing in particular, just gently present. Like a very large, very soft, very devoted shadow. A cat's memory is long and particular. They remember individuals. They remember places. A cat can return to a house it hasn't visited in years and move through it with confidence, remembering where things are, which corners are good for sitting in. But cats don't seem to dwell on difficult memories the way people sometimes do. They note the information, and then they return to the present, to the warm room, to the moment at hand. There is something genuinely wise about that. The past is noted, and then the cat goes back to the sunbeam. A cat can sense vibrations through its paws. It feels the quiet information that comes up through the floor and into the body without the cat having to do anything at all to receive it. Sometimes I think about that when I'm lying in bed and the house is quiet. The cat at the foot of the bed receiving the stillness of the night through its paws, registering it as complete. Everything safe. Everything still. Not a single tremor of concern. Cats don't taste sweetness in the way we do. What a cat's sense of taste is exquisitely sensitive to is the particular quality of what its body needs. It tastes what it was made to eat and finds it exactly right. A palate arranged in perfect harmony with the requirements of the body. Never wanting something that isn't good for it. Everything just as it should be. Cats groom each other. When two cats trust each other, one will groom the other, working over the parts of the head and neck that are awkward to reach alone. The other cat will lower its head and accept this, closing its eyes in the particular way of something that is both completely trusting and completely comfortable. It is one of the quieter expressions of care I know. Not dramatic. Not announced. Just, here, let me attend to the part of you can't reach yourself. Let me be careful with you for a while. Oh, you know, it occurs to me that cats have something to teach us about an awful lot of things. About warmth. About patience. About staying in the room you're in rather than always being half in the next one. But that's a thought for another time. For now, there's just the warmth and the quiet and a few more little facts. Close your eyes a little more. That's right. That's right. Kittens are born with their eyes closed. Their world in those first days is just warmth and closeness and the soft weight of other small bodies nearby. They don't need to see anything yet. Everything they need is already right there around them. The eyes begin to open after several days. A thin line of light first, and then slowly, gradually more. The world arriving in increments. Gently. At whatever pace the kitten is ready for. Kitten eyes are usually pale blue when they first open, before the color has had time to develop. They look at the world through those pale blue eyes for a while, and then slowly, over the weeks, the color deepens into what it's going to be. There is something very tender about that. A creature seeing the world for the first time through eyes that haven't yet found their own color. Cats have very fixed ideas about routine. They notice the time with remarkable accuracy. They know when feeding time is and when it has been and gone. They know which days the house is quiet all day and which days it fills up in the afternoon. This love of routine is simply a love of the familiar, the predictable, things being as they have reliably been. And I understand that completely. There is a particular comfort in things being as they always are. In the world being, more or less, what you expected it to be today. Researchers have made sounds specifically for cats, using rhythms and frequencies that come from the sounds cats themselves make rather than from human music. And cats respond to it. The breathing slows. The body settles. The eyes close in that particular way. I like the idea of that. Someone sitting down and thinking very carefully about what sound would feel like rest to a cat. Composing something that says, in cat, everything is all right. You can sleep now. A cat in a patch of sunlight. I don't think there is a simpler image of comfort in all the world. A cat that has found the warm place and is in it completely. Not thinking about the next warm place. Not wondering whether this is the best available warm place. Just in the warm place. Eyes closed. Perfectly still. Accepting what the afternoon has offered without any qualification. Cats have always been at sea. On ships, traveling with the sailors along every route the sailing world has ever taken. They were there because they were useful. But they became something more than useful over time. They became companions. Familiar faces in an unfamiliar world. Something from home, moving across the water. That is how cats arrived in so many places. Carried on ships by people who were glad to have them. Landing on shores that had never seen a domestic cat before and settling in with that characteristic composure as though the new place had been the plan all along. When a cat is at its most deeply settled, the purr becomes very quiet, almost inaudible. Something you feel more than hear if the cat is pressed against you. A vibration rather than a sound. So soft that it requires complete stillness on your part to notice it. That is the cat at complete peace. The purr so quiet it's almost secret. A private contentment, so full that a small amount of it leaks out as sound, but only just. Cats stretch in the most comprehensive way. A full stretch involves every part of the body, everything extending outward in opposite directions at once. Then it's done. And the cat returns to rest as if nothing happened. Because, as far as the cat is concerned, nothing particularly did. Urban cats still find the real dark. The space under the bed. The back of the wardrobe. The quiet of a room with the lights turned off. And in that real dark, they move and rest with perfect ease. The dark has never been a problem for a cat. It never will be. A cat at a window has an expression I find impossible to read precisely and very pleasant to try. Not quite watching the world outside and not quite indifferent to it. Just taking it in. The sparrow on the fence. The leaves moving in the wind. The person walking past, going wherever they're going. The cat at the window holds no particular investment in the outcome of the sparrow's afternoon. Just watching. In the quiet, uncommitted, deeply restful way of something that has nowhere to be and no expectations of the world at all. You're very nearly there, you know. I can hear it in the way you're breathing. Slower now. Easier. That's exactly right. You just keep breathing like that and let me keep talking and you'll be asleep before you know it. There's no hurry. There's no destination. Just a few more quiet facts about cats. A cat's paws are full of nerve endings that tell it about the surface it's standing on before it commits its full weight to it. A brief, careful reading of the ground before the step. This is why cats sometimes pause before stepping onto something new. Not uncertainty. More like due diligence. Making sure. The tabby pattern, the stripes and swirls and spots, is the oldest of the domestic coat patterns. A tabby cat on your kitchen counter is wearing markings that have been essentially unchanged for thousands of years. Old as old. Carried forward from the very beginning. There are cats who always seem to know when someone in the house is feeling low. Who come and sit closer. Who stay longer than usual. Who press against the person in a way that is different from their ordinary pressing. I think about all the people over all the centuries who have sat with something difficult and found a cat was simply there. Had arrived without being called. Had settled in without asking permission. Had simply understood, in its particular way, that this was where it needed to be. Cats in sleep have always been companions. Cats in beds, in laps, pressed against the back in the night, the weight of them steady and warm through the dark hours. People have been falling asleep to the sound of a purring cat for as long as people and cats have shared a house. Which is a very, very long time. Any cat, in the presence of any box, will almost always get into the box. This is as reliable as almost anything I know. The box arrives. The cat investigates. The cat gets in. The box belongs to the cat now. I've tried to understand why. I think it may be the enclosed feeling. the walls on all sides, being contained within a clearly defined space, small and enclosed and entirely your own. That makes sense to me, actually. There are days I would also like to get into a box. When a cat settles near you, it has made a choice. A choice based on warmth and familiarity and something less quantifiable than either of those. It has decided that you are the right place to be right now. Among all the available spots in all the available rooms, this one is the one it wants. That is, I think, one of the nicer things one creature can decide about another. In Japan, there is a figure of a cat with one paw raised, welcoming good things in. You see them in the entrances of shops and homes. The cat at the door. The cat as the one who welcomes. Sitting quietly at the boundary between outside and in, between the world and the warmth of home, with one paw raised in an unhurried, permanent welcome. An older cat moves differently. More slowly. More deliberately. The jumps are a little lower. The pace a little more considered. But the quality of the rest, if anything, deepens. As though all those years of practice have brought the cat to a kind of resting that is more complete than anything it managed when it was younger. An old cat in a warm place is a very settled thing. It has been moving toward exactly this kind of rest for a very long time, and it has, at last, completely arrived. Cats appear in the art of every era. In old illuminated pages. In the corners of painted rooms. In the laps of people and portraits who look as though they have quite forgotten the cat is there, but would notice immediately if it got up. Always the same cat, really. The same expression. Entirely itself, in whatever corner of whatever century it finds itself in. A cat falling asleep is a gradual thing. The eyes close and then open briefly and then close again a little longer. The head lowers by increments. The breathing slows. The body softens. And then, without any announcement or ceremony, the cat is asleep. Simply there one moment and then somewhere else the next. Somewhere warm and private and entirely its own. Nearly there now. Nearly to the end of all our 88 facts. I can feel the room getting quieter. I can feel you getting heavier. That's right. That's exactly right. Just a handful left. And then the story is done. A cat that trusts you enough to sleep near you has given you something. Not consciously. Not with any decision made. But it has placed its softness and its openness in your presence, and it has not guarded it. And that, in the language of cats, is a form of love. The sounds of a cat in the house at night are some of the quietest sounds there are. The patting of soft paws on the floor. The almost inaudible sound of a settling. These sounds register at the very edge of awareness. You don't so much hear them as feel them. In a house with a cat, you are never quite alone. Even in the darkest hours. Somewhere in the house, a warm and entirely ordinary miracle is quietly breathing. After eating, cats groom themselves. Always. The whole sequence completes itself: eat, clean, rest. Each one following naturally on the last. As though the body knows exactly what order things should go in and proceeds accordingly, without any need for deliberation. A cat that was handled gently as a kitten carries that gentleness forward into all its years. It becomes part of its baseline, part of its default. The world is, in its experience, a place where hands are usually kind, where voices are usually soft, where the general tendency of things is toward warmth. What a thing to carry! What a gift to have been given so early! When something briefly startles a cat, it recovers through grooming, returns to the familiar, repetitive, calming sequence. The body finding its way back to the baseline through the rhythm of the known thing. Right now, nothing has startled anything. Everything is at its baseline already. The only rhythm is this voice. And this voice is slow. Cats move quickly when they need to, but mostly they don't need to. Mostly they move at a walking pace, one careful step at a time. The swift movement kept carefully in reserve for the rare moment it's actually required, and the rest of the time spent in the pleasant, unhurried pace of something with all the time in the world. The Norwegian forest cat is a large, dignified creature with a thick coat that sheds water. Patient and calm and not easily bothered by anything. I imagine a Norwegian forest cat on a snowy evening, sitting by a fire somewhere in the north, the thick coat warm, the fire crackling very quietly, the snow falling outside the window. Everything utterly still. That seems like a very good place to be. Watching a cat wash its face is one of the most peaceful pastimes I know. The paw dampened, applied to the cheek in a slow circle. The same sequence, unhurried, thorough, without any sign of wanting to be done with it and on to the next thing. And when the cat is satisfied, it simply stops and rests. No transition, no announcement, just done. And now, rest. A cat makes a room feel warmer. Not the temperature of it, necessarily, but the quality of it. Something about the presence of a warm, calm, quietly breathing creature makes the room feel more settled. More like a place where it is all right to simply be, without doing anything in particular. The Turkish fan is an old breed from the East, a pale, soft-coated cat that moves through the world in that particular cat manner. Unhurried, self-possessed, with the quiet confidence of something that has never had much reason to doubt itself. These are the last few, now. Just the last few, and then we're done. And I expect, if I know anything at all about anything, that you won't even hear the last one. And that's exactly as it should be. An elderly cat is an extraordinary thing to be near. All that patient accumulated knowledge of its little world, lying there in its favorite spot with the complete settledness of something that has nothing left to prove and nowhere left to get to, and is simply, entirely, here. I have loved old cats particularly. There is a peace in them that I can't quite name but can always feel. Cats have been in the art of every culture that has kept them, which is almost every culture there has ever been. Always themselves. Always that same expression. The soft, specific, unrepeatable individual. Present in every era. Unchanged by any of it. The warmth of a cat. The weight of a cat. The particular softness of a cat pressed against you in the night. These are not complicated things. They are not rare or expensive or difficult to find. They are the simplest things. And they are, for the people who have them, among the most reliable small kindnesses that daily life offers. A purring cat in a dark room. That low, steady, rising and falling sound. The sound of something completely at ease. Something that has decided, without any fuss, that here is good and the warmth is good and the quiet is good and nothing more is needed. All the cats are asleep now. In their warm spots and their high shelves and their particular, chosen, precisely right places. Every one of them at rest. The whole long purring, patting, slow blinking, sun-seeking, needing, dreaming world of them. Asleep. And that is the last one. The 88th quiet little fact. We made it to the end. Or rather, I made it to the end. I suspect you've been asleep for quite some time. That's good. That's exactly right. I'll just sit here a moment while you drift. No rush. No rush at all. The room is warm. The house is quiet. And there is nothing in the world that needs you right now. Nothing at all. Just sleep. Just sleep. I'm right here. Good night.